U.S. President Donald Trump has declared victory over ISIS in Syria. According to him, ISIS is gone, they've been defeated, and now it's time to pull the U.S. troops out of the country. The troops that were never welcome there to begin with and were there illegally from the beginning. But I digress.
We've been fighting for a long time in Syria. I've been president for almost 2 years, and we've really stepped it up. And we have won against ISIS. We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land, and now it's time for our troops to come back home.
Now, it seems very interesting that he would say this, considering that the U.S. operations there, the real reason why the U.S. is still in the country, has yet to be resolved. As we can see, the U.S. doesn't have much influence in the country other than its use of the Kurds as a proxy force. Now, despite the fact that Trump is very proudly and loudly saying that the fight is over, it's time for the troops to come home, the mainstream media, or more accurately, the representatives of the bourgeoisie, seem to disagree with him. They say the job is not over yet. And I think that's very telling about why the U.S. really is inside of Syria. Because not everyone agrees with him that it's time to pull out. And one of those voices is Marco Rubio.
I honestly believe that this is a catastrophic decision for America's national security interests. At some point, people are going to have to sit down and decide what is the future of a post-ISIS Syria. And you know who's going to be at that table? The Turks are going to be at that table because they're going to have a military presence in northern Syria. The Iranians are going to be at the table because they're the closest allies Assad has. Assad will be at the table, and Putin will be at the table. Guess who won't be at the table? The United States of America. We have surrendered our influence in the outcome of this conflict in Syria. At some point, nations are going to sit down and figure out what Syria looks like moving forward, and we will have zero role to play in it.
What Marco Rubio said on the floor is very telling of the whole point of the U.S. existence inside of Syria. This isn't about defeating ISIS. This is about having influence over what a post-ISIS Syria looks like. Now, the most obvious thing would be, what's it to you? Isn't that something for the Syrian people to decide? That's something that they have to make up their own minds about. They have to decide their own future. But this speaks volumes. The United States was always there to try to gain control, to gain influence in a post-Syria, a post-ISIS Syria. In other words, to control it. Imperialism, straight up. And largely due to not just increasing the amount of influence the U.S. has in that particular area of the world, the Middle East, but also about energy resources, which is why the Kurds, the proxy of the Americans, may largely control the oil-producing area. And that's what they don't want them to let go. So, discovering the truth is always very much there. You just have to know where to look for it. And sometimes you just need to know how to look between the lines. Now, Trump fans were noticeably angry about this, saying, oh, they won out of the wars, etc. This has to come to an end. But it seems they don't understand why the wars happened to begin with. Why is the U.S. there at all? Very clearly, the combination of Syria, Russia, and Iran has a hold over ISIS. The United States doesn't have to do anything. If anything, the U.S. should be doing something about ISIS cropping up in Afghanistan, the country that they are militarily occupying, along with several other countries. But we do understand that this is about imperialism. This is about controlling Syria. This has never, ever been about trying to liberate the Syrian people from ISIS. I mean, let's face it. ISIS is primarily the product of the United States and Saudi Arabia as a proxy force to attack those who would dare stand up to U.S. power.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.